Hello, DGBA. This is Jcaps doing Poison Point Power Rankings here with Beardy and Spies.
How's it?
Yeah, what's up?
So we're doing Poison Point Power Rankings for the amazing players in this division. There are some definitely very interesting teams this season for our second season of Gen 9.
Oh, for sure.
Alright, anything you guys want to say before we get right into it?
You guys should know this by now, but these are personal power rankings. Take what we say with a grain of salt. Nothing here is a personal attack.
Disagree with that, but whatever. If your team is last, we hate your guts. Nothing personal, but, you know.
Well,
sorry.
with
Take
that,
it personally.
let's get to our last placing team, which is Mr. Phil. This
Phil,
team
man.
kind
Phil's
of...
the Phil.
Yeah, Phil's the GOAT, but this team is not GOATed. Starting it off with Cyclizar is an interesting decision.
Hold on, wait, I will say from Phil's point of view here, Cyclizar is a round one pick. I get the shed tail hype, it's the first season it's allowed, I get it.
Yep.
The rest of the team, and honestly, round one, when we were mock drafting for the drafts in general, there are about 16 to 17 round one Pokemon. If you don't get one of those, you're in a really tough time. And Cyclizar was not one of the Pokemon on that list. You can tell by Phil's team how it kind of lacks that quote-unquote star power.
Yeah, a lot of this team relies on either just general Iron Hands and Lando shenanigans, or like the rain mode, but the rain abusers are like Jolteon to an extent, Floatzel, and then Landorus of all things, since Sandsear Storm cannot miss in rain, which is something I don't know how many people actually know.
I will say, Floatzel is not a bad mon. I like Floatzel in the rain. I wish it was
Absolutely.
Terramon.
Yeah.
I wish a lot of these Pokemon were Terramon. Zarud and Jolteon aren't bad choices, but I'm looking at Lando on Floatzel, Armourouge, who will benefit from it too.
Iron Hands as well.
Iron Hands, yeah, you're absolutely right. Iron Hands as well. And let me say, I've done teams with Jolteon Lando Eye before. You want to tear the Lando Eye most of the time, especially when it's the priority of your offense, which it is here.
Right.
Jolteon's not a bad Terramon, but I do think Lando Eye is better.
Tell that to Bash and Trickhouse.
Yeah. But if you had to seem the highest, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so what's it? First pick Cyclizar is obviously a bit awkward. Iron Hands, Lando, Zarud are all fine mons. This team relies a lot on Bronzong to not crumble to typing such as like Fairy and Ice mainly. Cyclizar being the only removal also is kind of a bummer on this. The hazard setting isn't amazing either, but Bronzong should get up rocked most of the time anyway. But there are no spikes, or I don't think there are T-spikes either, since I think it's only regular Muck that gets T-spikes.
Correct, so all Muck does not get T-spikes.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, but a team like this would also benefit from like rocks plus spikes shipping at the opponent, because there isn't really a round one mon on this. You'd like to accrue damage over time for maybe like Rain, Floatzel, or Terrazaroo to be able to clean up.
Weakness policy Armourouge as well.
Yeah, and another thing is that the fighting resists on this team aren't the sturdiest. So like, something like Great Tusk or Quaquaval look kind of annoying.
God, Quaquaval was having a time with this team. Jesus Christ, man.
Granted, there is a Pelipper for it, so it might have not been the best example, but still, I think generally fighting types do have a lot of fun versus this team.
For sure. Also, I don't like Cyclizar as this team's only form of removal, especially when Cyclizar's goal on this team is to put Shed Tail 99.9% of the time. And normally this gen, I'm looking at Pokemon teams without removal is not a huge deal, because a lot of those teams can hazard stack, but this team can't. The team has two setters, being Landolon, which usually isn't running Rock, and Bronzong, which is going to be forced to run however game comes. So you are going to be the one who has to remove hazards, or you're not winning the hazard. So having only one remover in that department is not, like, very bad. Especially being your round one.
Yeah, for sure. Cyclizar does have additional utility, especially with the aforementioned Shed Tail. But that's just not something to really build a team around, and if it is something you're trying to do, I don't think this team did it particularly effectively. There's Nasty Plot Lando Eye, and like Swords Dance Iron Hands / Zarude, but
No Armourouge. You can bring an Armourouge from Shed Tail.
yeah, you can, but it just feels lackluster. Just generally though, that's a lot of what Shed Tail is. When the gen first came out, everyone was like really rating it super high, but it's kind of just shown itself to be kind of mid.
Everyone? Excuse
It
you?
was being general. Anyways, any closing thoughts here?
I want to say, Phil, I love you, man. This team is not good, however, you are a great player, so you should be okay with this. If this is your team, it's your team at the end of the day. I think you'll do fine. Like, if you're drafting us, I'm assuming you're comfortable with it. I'm assuming you're going to be using the Cyclozar, Iron Hands, Leather, shenanigans, but you'll be fine. Just this team is very, very weird. I also do, I respect the Dachshund. Dachshund's a cool Pokemon.
That it is. Gets too much hate. Alright. On to number 15. We have Mr. Owen. OGL by himself.
My favorite Gen 8 team.
This is not a Gen 8 team.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, he's trying to slope me at the grand car.
Right. The first, 3 picks, arguably 4 picks, are all really solid, in my opinion. Like, Terra Annihilape is a menace. Meowscarada is one of my favorite Pokemon to use this gen, honestly. It's a lot of fun. Terra Heatran can put in work, but it's not something that needs to Terra every game. Which works. I mean, yeah.
Hindsight 2020.
Right. Slowking works. It's bulky pivot. It still gets chilly reception, even though there's not a single ice type to take advantage of that. And then the team goes downhill.
Hold up. I like Palm. No, I like Palm. I think Palm's fine. It has a good speed tier. It has a survivable thing. This team needs an electric type. It didn't need one, but I don't mind Palm. I think Palmot's okay.
In this specific team, I don't hate Palmot. It's just still kind of weird.
I think T-Tar is actually my real problem.
Yeah, I don't get T-Tar here at all. It's not Terra to take advantage of that, because it's actually a really solid Terramon. It's there for hazard support, I guess. There's nothing there for sand.
It's also a bit there for ghosts.
But you have Meowscarada for that.
No.
Like, defensively.
No,
I guess, yeah.
It's a Dragapult. I'm not, switching into Meowscarada at all.
Right.
Okay, against ghost types, Gengar, for example. Yeah, I'm not going, I'm gonna go Meowscarada
Oh, yeah.
switch in this game.
That's fact.
I get the T-Tar. The T-Tar is there to switch into ghost types, I think. Is it worth it? No. It's not worth the 10 points. There are Pokemon that do that lower tier.
Right.
Genuine. I don't get T-Tar's fit at all here. I like the Toadscroll. I don't mind Toadscroll. I think for 6 points, Hazard, Spin, Knockoff, it's value.
I definitely don't hate Toadscroll. I think it definitely gets too much hate.
Yeah.
It has a lot of good utility. I actually think it's best used more so as I think in a lot of cases, the threat of Spore is just enough to make people.
Spore.
Yeah.
You're right.
And you can't block it. So I think the threat of that is more than enough in most games, even though really most of the time in my experience you don't even want to be running Spore. But it's still, if it does come with Spore, that's something you're going to have to be prepared for.
I think one of my bigger issues with the team is that offensively, grounds look really good into this. They
look amazing.
Not that physically bulky. So you'll be seeing a lot of earthquake spam to this. While you can tear the Heatran into a grass or flying type, the Annihilape is usually going to want to demand the Terra more often. And I don't know. A lot of these mons kind of fold to banded EQ.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
especially since there's no flying type.
No levitators either.
Yeah.
This team has 2 grass types who are very physically weak. So, like, EQ... No, I think Ed Quick in general is going to be very hard for this team. Like, really hard. Like, Great Tusk is going to have a good time with this team. Iron Tread's going to have a good time. Lando is going to have a good time. Yeah, I think Slowking's going to take a lot of the burden when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Slowking
Another
is very important here.
Yeah,
100%.
another thing is that if you do want to ever tear the V-Tran, I think then fairy types start harassing this team pretty easily as well.
Oh, for sure. You're not gonna... Venomoth is not something you bring every game.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was gonna say Venomoth maybe, but like, nah, not really. Venomoth is I guess. I like Annihilate, man. This team does have good hazard setting, I will say. Really good hazard setting. Dorado, Toadstool, T-Tar, Heatran, Venomoth, can catch E-Spike. This team always gonna have hazards up on your side, Annihilate the Thrones.
Mm.
Yeah, this team I think honestly kind of like especially the last 6 picks are just a lot of Pokemon. If that makes it's just Pokemon on a screen. Like I don't think Goodra here at all. I don't think Goodra fits genuinely. You have Heatran and Slowking. Why do you need Goodra? Those 2 cover pretty much everything Goodra does. Well, even T-Tar on the Spit F side too. The team doesn't really have a physical wall. It doesn't.
Your physical wall is Slowking.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's not the best physical wall in the world.
Unless you're relying on Eviolite and Tim Stantler, which...
If he's chewing all those earthquakes.
Right. No, I think if your opponent sees you bringing Stantler, they're gonna be happy.
Dragon Bolt switching off the Stantler. I mean, the defensive Stantler.
Ignore the whole T-Tar, but yeah.
Forgot, yeah. You're right.
Well, I don't really have anything else to say here. Anything from you?
I do. Well, similar to Phil, once again, I want to say at the beginning, the team is not a reflection of the player. If you're comfortable with this team, Terra Annihilate is a goddamn menace. That thing will win you games single-handedly, trust me.
Absolutely.
I used it last season, it's so fucking good. And I think Scrod is great support for it, I do. I mean, I think the team can work 100%. I think there's a lack of synergy all.
And hey, if something's wrong and he needs a different grass type, you can always trade out that Meowscarada for an Arboliva.
True that, man.
True.
True. Does it give you a defensive wall? No.
No.
Okay.
It's a better normal type than Stantler.
Oh gee, here's my game plan, right? We need a grass type with the team. We're gonna go to Gen 8 and get Tangrowth. That's the game plan. That's a good defensive answer.
Unironically, I do like Tangrowth on this team if it was Gen 8. Anyway, Spies, do you have anything?
No, I don't think so.
Alright, moving on then. Got Money Guy.
All about the money.
This
All about
team
money.
is just very awkward in so many ways.
Spies, you had him left, what is your opinion on it? Like, why was this team worse than Phil's in your opinion?
I think having like immediate speed is really important in this gen. I think as long as you have like something relatively fast that's like still a decent Pokemon, like is a decent, like it'll always be a way out. Because other opposing Scarfers, you can force them to Scarf in unfavorable moves. But like if something's just outspeeding your team and they can switch it up, then it's obviously going to be a lot more of a threat. I think like just like anything with like natural speed above like 120 on this team would have done it wonders.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Fastest Mon, Mismagius, in a very cluttered speed tier, because you got Mismagius 105, is it 105 or is it 115?
Yeah,
it's 105?
What? Mismagius is 105.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
yeah.
Got 105, Sandy Shocks at 101, then Shiyu and Zapdos G at 100. That's just a very cluttered speed tier for your top end. Personally, the reason why I ranked this so high is just so high being 13. Is just simply there's a lot of mons that are very threatening on this team. Like just immediately, like okay, this can win games, be it Chi-Yu just breaking, Quaquaval doing sword stance or bulk up sweeps, Sandy Shock's hazard settings, Enamorous can be just a very bulky setup mon as well.
I don't think Sandy Shocks to win new games. Like, I
Well,
guess
it's a hazard. It's a very good hazard setter. Zapdos just has that breaking power, and then there's even the webs with the Masquerain. Another issue I do have, though, is I just really don't like the Terra Goth on this team. I feel like there's just a lot more potential you could have gotten out of like Terra Enamorous, but especially Terra Quaquaval. Having the shed tail is neat. There's some cool stuff you can do with that, I guess. It's still an Earthworm. But it just really feels like outside of webs, this team just lacks a lot of synergy that you would have liked to see.
if your synergy in Gen 9 is web, you have an issue. Because webs in Gen 9 are not good. People run boots. Most people, I mean, I get the removal of the Shem Sock. I get that. But people, you should not be bringing that Masquerain like twice like a season, and it's going to be coming a lot, because webs need to be up on this game in order of it to be successful. The reason this team I put at 13 is I really like the start of it. I thought the start was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Great synergy. I love the start. Like the first, I think even Earthworm to a degree were fine. I don't get the Goth like burning set. Terragoth doesn't make sense here, but what either of them said, I don't get why the Gyarados on it. I don't know what it does. Like genuinely, what is Gyarados doing that Quaquaval doesn't? I think Gyarados is only here for the Defiant from Defog, is my guess. This team also, this is going to be like a, I will say to the Money Guy's defense, Chi-Yu, Quaquaval, Sandy Sharks, Zapdos, Terragoth, and Mismagius are all pretty good Scarfers. I will say that to his friend. So while he doesn't have speed, he has Pokemon that can run Scarf. So I get that to a degree. That's why I gave this team some leeway when it came to that. But if this team replaced the G-Zap and Gothitelle for like just something fast, man. Like this team just needs something fast. Like I don't know, not kill. I don't know. You know, like something like the 120s, 115s. If that sending off to the Fun DI, it would be a lot better. Like, I also think team's hazard setting isn't the best. This team has one rocker, which in this gen I don't like personally.
Doesn't it have two?
No, two rockers. My bad. You're right. My bad. Like I feel like the hazard setting, you're gonna have to bring on Sandy Shots or Earthworm each game because they're literally the only two Pokemon that can set hazards besides Masquerain. So I also this makes me a personal pick of mine. I don't like Amoonguss this gen at all. In general, I don't think it's very good. I don't think it can provide a lot for a team. I think it just can't take hits like it did last. This is everything so much more.
The sets I keep seeing on Amoonguss that get the most use are like eject button.
Yeah.
I think Amoonguss is fine here because I think offensive waters and offensive fairies are a lot scarier than they typically would be because there's like less steals and bulky waters. The main checks to those two types, so I get the Amoonguss pick.
Yeah. Also, drafting Chi-Yu with your only removal being Quaquaval, which does not often want to run Rapid Spin.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another reason I had this kind of low, because I thought Chi-Yu was the best Scarfer on the team. You just Scarf Terra Dark, but it'll probably take one round of hazards at least before getting that off. Because Quaquaval is not going to really want to spin a lot of the time. It can, but you're not going to want to do it all the time.
And this team isn't winning a hazard war like I said about the last team. Like you're not. They're going to be forced to remove a lot of the time. And you can't really do that. And this one is a Rapid Spin Wave Crash instead of all this stuff, which I mean is pretty cool too. Can't argue with that. But yeah, this team is just very all over the place. I think it started off really well and then just kind of went really downhill from there. Really downhill.
Oh yeah, another thing is that Chi-Yu is the main ghost answer to.
Wow. This team needs a Stantler.
Masquerain for Stantler, 1-for-1 swap. Everything's fixed.
I didn't know this. Yeah, the ghost type answer is Enamorous. I'd say an Amaris or Avian Moon gets one of the two, probably. Which isn't a good thing.
No.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, that's not good at all. Yeah.
Anything else?
Not particularly. Drop the Gyarados. That's my one thing. Get that thing out of here. It doesn't do anything. Drop the Gyarados, please. Shit. But besides that, that's pretty much it.
Alright, moving on. We got Luxans. Again, I think this team starts off really strong with Great Tusk, Terra, Spathra, H-Sam, Thundee, and then it just kind of takes a nosedive.
So I will say, I had this team 14. Oh, sorry, Brian. Were you still got my bad?
No, you're good. You're good.
I had this team 14 for a bunch of reasons, but I will say my main thing is. So, you pick one in the draft, right? There's Terra, Excalibur, Tien, Pow. You take Great Tusk. Seriously? That is the most boring pick you could possibly pick. He's good mod, it's just fucking boring. But that doesn't really have anything to do with the ranking, you say. I don't think he does get a pick one mod, and everyone knows I'm not a huge fan of it. It's a really good Pokemon, I just don't think it's pick one worthy. But besides that, I think this team isn't bad. I don't like the one-pointers. I think Electro's actually a pretty good one-pointer in my opinion. But great being your only removal isn't the end of the world, I would say. But T-Spikes are going up this team royally.
What do you mean? Glimmet has Mortal Spin.
Yeah. Wait,
Right,
no, I don't think Limit has Mortal Spin.
Does it not?
Only Gamora.
There's
What are they?
I'll check. Doesn't matter. I think something that calm.
Well, it's going to come to absorb the T-Spike.
Right.
It's easier bringing Glimmet to absorb the T-Spikes you already lost to your friends. Already. I just think Hazard, T-Spikes in particular, he killed this team. Really.
Yeah, this
That's why
team.
I think grounded poison is still
Just looking at this team, every time I look at it, it's like Great Tusk has to do everything.
yeah.
It's its main breaker. It's its main support tool. It's its main defensive mon that'll be most reliable, at least. Slowbro without teleport it's just so much worse. Diancie, I don't rate it all this gen, honestly.
Diancie's fine. They can set rocks and spikes and compact. It gets the job done. And
I
I've seen
don't rate it.
flying resist is fine. I think
Yeah.
You don't want Thundee as your only flying resist.
No.
And this team doesn't have a field type. So,
Yeah.
I get it, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't mind Diancie. I just think the team's breaking is actually pretty. Like, the breaker is tough, the spinner is tough, the hazard setter is tough.
Yeah, exactly. Tusk is just gonna have too much to do that it just can't do everything.
Yeah. What's it? So, what's that? The ground resists and immunities are like Thundee, Moltres, Lilligant. I think.
Big Lilligant.
I mean, there's good natural physical, but or I just think like stab earth powers would be a bit of an issue for this team.
For
And
sure.
I also think that like certain just like electrics with grass knot are also really good into this team, mainly because Tusk is the ground, it has pretty poor Spadef, and even if you invest in it, I think some of those electrics will be able to muscle through it anyway. Fortunately, Lux has one of the Thundees. It's
Yeah.
not going to be as big of an issue.
Very
Because
true.
he does
Also,
get this now.
also something I noticed is that this team is like oddly susceptible to like offensive grass.
I noticed that same thing. Like, you have Moltres.
There is a Moltres.
Yeah.
Outside of Moltres, though, you've got nothing. And you know what?
Yeah,
The
but
best.
when you-
What's the best offensive grass this generation?
Silly and Lilligant. Is that not the right answer?
I was going for Meowscarada.
Yeah, Scarada.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. You right.
Moltres does not stop Meowscarada. It gets
No,
P-Punch,
it
it gets Power Gem, it's breaking through the Moltres.
I unironically think the team's going to have to bring that Electrode a lot, because I think Screams is actually gonna be one.
Actually, yeah, screens on this team does actually look really good.
Bringing the Electrode a lot isn't really a good thing. No.
No, I will say getting Thundee and Espathra is fine, because Thundee doesn't need Terra every game,
No.
but when it goes in, it goes in. But a Spotfire is always a good option as well.
See some other nice things to say. I think the speed's solid.
Speed is actually like
Samurai.
pretty solid,
I
yeah.
like this.
Yeah, and Tusk and Samurai are both like solid scarfers as well.
Mhm.
They have good natural resistances to help them pivot into hits as well. And I think Moltres also helps this draft a lot. Again, the grasses like kind of destroy this team. Also this team is Moonblast fodder otherwise. The Moltres might be able to win some fairies from just clicking Specs Moonblast like 6 times.
Do I hear an echo, or is that just...
I don't hear an echo.
Alright, I guess I'm losing it. It's fine. Okay, anyway. Sorry about that, I guess... Oh, okay, I know the issue. My bad.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. My bad there. What was someone saying? Well, okay, I'll be right back. I'm echoing right now. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I'm just reconnect.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I had in my note.
Yeah, that's all I got.
You have... Okay. So I guess we can move on then to our number
We
10.
should, yeah. It's CheezIts.
We have CheezIts.
Alright. It's better now. Sorry about that, guys.
So, CheezIts, I really like CheezIts Star. And it's really nothing I have particularly wrong with the team. I just feel like this is the point where I think most of the teams are like actually good. The rest of the teams behind this I had some problems with. From here on out, I think the teams are actually just generally solid, and it just comparing them to one another is how you get the rankings, because I think they're all just good.
Let's see here. My main thing with CheezIts team is that it is like a solid team, but like founded upon these maybe slightly underwhelming mons gen, like Landis there.
Yeah, for sure.
Color Smoking. Terra Gargan isn't as good as some people might have thought in draft. And then Alamomola is a straight up lose con.
Just baton pass!
Aloe. Well, yeah, but there's no fast encore to like stop subs set up moves.
Okay.
So Aloe's going to get abused pretty hard on this team, I think.
So, to Alamola's credit, it is the 5th fastest Pokemon on this team. Just for the record here.
Wow.
Yeah. Surely encore for itself. If only it had encore, but yeah.
So the reason I put this team a little below you guys, this team's speed is really bad, in my opinion, despite having Peaceland and Zoroark, because besides them, it's just rough. This team has, let me count, 6 Pokemon that are 65 and below.
Ooh. What's it?
Yeah.
This team's credit. Urshifu and Lando. Okay. Urshifu and Lando are like decent scarfers at the very least.
Lando's gonna be scarfed every week at this team, I feel like, honestly. It seems like it's going to have to be.
And yeah, my point was that like I think especially like Lando and Slowking Galar, while they're still good mons, they feel a little underwhelming compared to the last gen and compared to the power creep that's been introduced this gen. Like they don't like Landers has been completely dethroned by Great Tusk at like everything Lando does besides clicking the U-turn button. For
Great
example.
Tusk get quick feet kill leader? No, I didn't think so.
See, though, there was one big difference between that Lando and this Lando. Your Lando had Terra.
No, it didn't. Not for 3 games.
Okay, not for 3 games.
What are you talking about?
And then to Slowking Galar's credit, I think it's probably the best fairy resist in this generation. Like in general, this team with Talonflame plus Slowking Galar handles a lot of fairies really well, and Magnezone. But Slowking Galar, with the introduction of more like really good dark types, this is a gen full of dark types, and like Ghost still being really good. I think Slowking has a bit harder of a time keeping up this gen. Not to say that's a bad mon, but I think it faces more adversity this gen. As the meta is a faster pace, and B, there are more ghosts and darks, I think, floating around, threatening it. But there are also more fightings, and like fairies are still really threatening, so I do think it has a place.
It's funny how it gets chilly reception for a really good pivot move for it, and it gets worse just because of power creep and how the meta looks.
I think this team really could have used a Pokemon with chilling reception just to help its Felix a Titan over like Alamo and doing.
I actually do agree. Yeah, both Slowking teams don't have any way to benefit. Yeah, chilly reception. Huh.
I just don't like. I hate Alamo so much. I'm looking at the Pokemon. Garganacl doesn't really need Wish Pass. Sylveon already Wish Passes. All Alamo does is Wish Pass. Come on, there's nothing else.
I do have a question. I do have a question though. How do you guys think this team wins on a game-to-game basis?
Urshifu or Sconflanders.
Because
set up Garganacl.
Set up Guard too. Only way this team wins. They lacks win cons. I get what
I mainly just think that the Shifu is going to be coming in early game just to make actual progress, because not a lot of these other mons are good at forcing that progress.
Right.
Magnezone can break when you're looking at your team and you're like, all right, I need Magnezone to break for me this game. That could be a bit of an issue, I think, because Urshifu's gonna have to be the win con and the breaker, if that makes sense. Most of the time, and I think it's a lot of responsibility to put on one Pokemon's shoulders. I think is what kind of Spies was saying, which I do agree. So,
also, the only removal is Talonflame, which you could have a worse only remover. Yeah, you could have
absolutely
a worse only remover, but it's obviously not like ideal.
No. But being able to get those fast defogs is really nice. So I'd like Talonflame.
Yeah, I love Seaflame as removal actually. I think that's kind of all it does this gen, and that's okay. Because that's all it needs to do. Like, just remove. I think this team is too bulky for this gen. I don't know if that makes any sense. But like, I'm looking at G-King, and I'm looking at Sylveon, Guard,
it kind of feels like a team from last gen. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, it does. I can 100% agree with that. Yeah, definitely does. It's a bulky team with limited breaking option, and that just is harder to use this team. Honestly. Like, you need more offense, and this team lacks. This team has 5 offensive mons, maybe 6 with Sylveon. Maybe Guard. Like, hard. And also, this team does not set spikes besides Cool, which I don't like.
Yeah, it has T-spikes on Glowking, but yeah, I think only rocks is a bit annoying.
Even with the rocks, I'm looking at Landorus, there's gonna be Scarf Death per weekend, so Guard's gonna have to be rocked, which kind of hurts the ability set up. I don't know, I wish this team had a little more hazard. A little bit more hazard.
Yeah.
Honestly.
All that being said, I still do like this team.
Same, I do too. I just wish it wasn't so goddamn slow, but I do like it.
Yeah, the team's okay. Wait, does Hisuian Zoroark get knocked?
No.
Okay.
The team does not have a knocker, which is fine, most teams don't. Like, not every team has a Toedscruel, it's okay.
Can't do the Toedscruel segue because we already saw it, but unless you guys have anything else to add, I think we can move on.
I do not.
I think we can.
Alright, up next we have Timber 2. Who is this guy? I have no idea. He's a returner coach, and his team is interesting, to say the least.
This ranking, I think, is one of the ones that we disagreed on, kind of based off of the personal rank. I had this team a lot.
Yeah.
Because I really like this team. I really like the offensive pressure by Enamor, Sneasler, Roaring Moon, and Cleaver. I know Cleaver is a Pokemon a lot of people don't like. I get it. But man, I just think the Scarf set getting up rocks so next part, I love it so much. I think it is so good, especially for 12 points. Terra Sneasler and Terra Enam are really good. Roaring Moon, terrible, but it's there. Subi and Gudra and Powder are 2 really good wolves. Vape's a good bulky water. Blade can break. we've seen Reverum be good time and time again. If I'm not mistaken, like this thing is good.
Getting
Charizard just-
war flashbacks.
Yeah, burning. Yeah, the one big flaw with this team is there is no there is Cleaver's only form of removal, which isn't a concern.
Hey man, a team with mono cleaver removal got second seed in Quick Feet last season.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, your team only had Cleaver for removing?
Yep.
That's funny.
It also had Enamorous and Roaring Moon and Hippowdon.
Damn, bro's on the burn.
Yeah, he just cut.
Last season.
Hey,
You stole
let
the
me
team.
let me copy your homework, but I'll change it not to make it too obvious.
Yeah.
I will say a big, other than Artie, Roaring Moon feels really weird on this team.
You think so?
Yes.
I think you could have run banned every week because you already have Sneasel to clean up.
You
Yeah.
can.
Roaring-
It just, I don't know. It doesn't feel
Okay.
as necessary.
Look at Ghosts in Dark without the Roaring Moon.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, to be
That-
fair, Hisui and Gudra walls any special threat known to mankind. Like, no matter what type it is. To be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not afraid of spec ghost type insert heat
Right.
because of Hisui and Gudra.
Another thing, though, off of that, kind of, is both Enamorous and Sneasler want to be Taro most weeks. Both are good without it, but
I
it
disagree
really
with
feels
them
like
a
most
lot.
of them want them.
I don't think Enamorous needs it at all. I put in work with it you did too. You
Yeah.
put in work with this in last
Yeah, but
I think
it's
it's-
so good, and you're already spending that many points on it. I would have liked to see maybe one of those swapped out for something else, especially without any sort of something I would have liked to see, especially with how EQ kind of looks into this team, would be like a Rillaboom, especially for that grassy terrain with Sneasler, but I think it's fine without it.
I don't think this team's weak to EQ at all, actually, if I'm being honest with you. I think Hippowdon's one of the best edge quick switches in the game.
It is.
Yeah.
Well,
It's kind of weak banded EQ in the sense, especially if you wanted to
Yeah.
try the Enamorous, because the Charizard isn't coming a lot of weeks.
no.
I don't get why the Charizard there.
I don't
having
either.
a fire type. You don't know what it's at.
Number 2 thought it still had defog.
That's possible. Yeah, I don't think Vape is as good this gen. Just especially
No.
with how just bulky waters have just kind of fallen to the wayside in a lot of respects.
Vape was needed here. This team lost any ice type known to mankind.
That is true.
Ice and Fairy types do go particularly hard into this team.
It has a Reverie.
Fortunately,
He's really good against fairy types.
Fortunately, the Enamorous, which is arguably it is a top 2 Fairy type in
Easily.
offensively.
For sure. For sure.
Like, I don't think you have to worry about those as much, but Ice type's still pretty scary, especially since I think the 3 most threatening Ice types were introduced this gen.
Wait, what? Champa.
Chien-Pao, Baxcalibur, Iron Bundle.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this team does. Well, most teams lose to Iron. Actually, no, this is a pretty good Iron Bundle. So
It is.
Yeah.
I think Hisui and Gudra has a lot to do on this team.
Oh yeah. I mean, thankfully it's a good mon, so.
Also, I wish this team had a spike setter too, but teams that the good thing about having Cleaver is you already know those rocks going to be up on the field anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't really.
I think the last thing I have to say about it is that this team's going to have to keep up the offensive momentum, because the offensive pieces themselves are kind of frail. They'll have to either make sure that you're either trading favorably or volt turn cycling through your opponent, which it's going to likely be the former, because hazards can be an issue without boots, since Cleavor is the only remover.
Absolutely.
I also don't. I didn't make this before. I'm not a big fan of delayed here. I don't really know how to see it.
Yeah, that one was kind of standing out to me as well.
I'm looking at this team and I'm like, why the fuck is there a delayed on my team?
Scarfs, and that's it. Oh no, I've got it. It's fighting resist.
You got it. Got it. Problem solved. All right. That's all we got. Moving on.
I don't think the team is weak to fighting by any means, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Doesn't love fighting types.
It's the bulky psychic of the team.
Really with his gems, I want to get something else.
Both learn Drain Punch. Hey, it works.
No.
Alright. Anyone got anything else?
I love Timber too.
Me too.
Next.
We got Beardy. I will let you guys go first because I actually really do like this team quite a bit.
I'll let Spies cook since he had
Okay. Well, what's it? I just think the team looks messy. It's obviously a very offensive squad, but like, what's it? The natural bulk is kind of met. It's kind of met on the squad. I do think it has a high ceiling, but I'm not supposed to take the coach into account, even though I know the coach is able to use these types of teams very effectively. I just think that rocks with good secondary stabs are kind of tough into this team. I think electrics can be kind of annoying because your resist is a Motom and your immunity is a Palisand. It does have solid hazard control with Glim, Espeon, Lucha, kind of. Glimora plus Klefki will be able to get up hazards most of the time, and they will be able to enable the offense pretty well through screens. I think this team is very scary. I just don't think it's probably a team that works better in practice than it does on paper. But I think that's all I have to say right now.
I think this team kind of needs not the perfect conditions, but like, when you're going up against this team, I feel like you're gonna know the game plan, like, oh, what more or Klefki set hazards and set screens, get Inspect Fear, Shifu, Gmo, Halucha, whatever, have them set up, etc., etc. Like, I think it's kind of an obvious game plan going into it, which isn't a bad thing, I guess. I will say I don't like Rotom on this team, mostly because Rotom, I just don't think it's good this gen. I don't like it here. I don't think it fits personally. I think this team could have honestly, I like Asui Electrode a lot more on this team than Rotom. Like, genuinely speaking. I will say this team's speed is pretty okay for what it is. Obviously with Halucha, a lot of people don't root for Lucha because of Unburden, which I understand. But like, even besides that, this team's speed's fine. This team is just very. I think this team is just the definition of kind of like just making a plan and going for it. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but like, yeah, I'm also not a big fan of the teams. Like Spies team is really weak to electric types. Like, really weak. I love the hazard setting. The removal's pretty good, but I think the team does have a lot of flaws to it for sure. Like, it's gonna rely on the same things every game to do. Like, once like I said, go more on Klefki hazard, Spectre's in the clean, and Nurture Ultra is gonna set up break when. I also kind of wish this team went another route outside of Volcanion. I don't love Volcanion here. I think this team could have used another ice, like a better ice resist per se. Maybe just not even Volcanion at all. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's just my opinion. Burning, why do you like this team so much?
I absolutely love the snowball potential of this team.
It does have a snowball on it, you're not wrong.
Okay, that's not what I was going for. No, but seriously, this team has a lot of ways to put the opponent in awkward positions, and then it has really good ways to just snowball and get the going, and it's going to be very hard to stop. Because, like, if your big check gets paralyzed or toxic, like tricked, because he has a couple really good trick users, and just neutered, Spectrier can just win, Rapid Fu can just win, Moltres Galar can just win, even Halucha can just win in certain scenarios. And the bulk isn't, like, amazing, but good enough to just force switches and just be really annoying, especially when you consider how good the hazard setting is on this team.
It is really good.
So it just, it looks really weird on paper, but I just see this dude going very well in practice, and it seems they're just going to have a really hard time playing around it.
How do you like Volcanic on this team?
I actually do really like it because it's
Thank you.
not only got the damage potential, but also Steam Eruption can force those like just really hard plays for your opponent, just having to play around it, and on top of that, it just, I don't know, it just kind of works here, I think.
I think the team needed a more solid answer, or like defensive answer to Waters while still be able to threaten.
I agree.
Although I guess, yeah, Volcanion can't really touch the Waters a lot of the time though, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
really like water types. Like I was gonna say before, I didn't like Rudimel, because like when you, I mean, I know bulky waters are not nearly as prominent in this gen, but I still feel like you should have a reliable way to get rid of them, and this team really doesn't. Like, if your way to beat, like, every Vaporeon, per se, the Rudimel, I don't really like. You know what I mean?
don't think the Vaporeon's going to appreciate CC from Rapid Shifu.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
You know what I mean, though. Just like walking
Yeah.
into the game, I feel like you said,
Yeah.
Vaporeon wasn't the best example.
No, not really.
Maybe Terra Ghost Vaporeon would do fine against Shifu, but besides that.
Then it would lose to
I think-
Spectre and Moltres G, but continue.
Yeah, I do think this team has like an odd sort of pivoty flow to it, where like a lot of the teams like natural immunities and resistances kind of flow well into each other, and like you can, let's say, go to Gmolt. You're in with Spectre, and you could go into Gmolt on the dark move, and immediately like start threatening again, or you can go into Volcanion on like the ice type threatening the Gmolt or Rotom-Mow, and you start threatening someone.
And that's exactly what I was talking about how just putting your opponent in these awkward situations to just get the ball rolling. I do really like this team, and more so in practice, because again, on paper, it looks really weird, but I'm a fan.
I think it's gonna need a very specific formula to win the games, like I was saying earlier. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. Like,
No, it does. It definitely does, and
Like-
I do agree to an extent.
Which is fine. I also like the Glalie here. I don't know why it's there. I just think Glalie is a cool Pokemon, so.
Well, yeah, it's a nice type.
True. Oh. You know, I deserve that from earlier. Alright, anyway, anything else to say about this team?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I've said all that I wanted to.
Alright, on to number 9. We've got Mr. Brian.
God, fuck this dude, man.
Sceptile Scythe. The coach of Sceptile Scythe, I
Alright.
should say.
Yeah.
Starts off by giving Brian a quick shout out here. Brian did something that no one else could. He broke the Matrix. There is an Appleton on this team, but not just any Appleton. There's a Terra Appleton right there. That man single-handedly wins games, wins championships. It's like LeBron in your team. Like, when you draft Terra Appleton, you're like, how did I even get this guy? Especially in the last round? Bro, this thing is absolutely broken. So I just want to give Brian a quick shout out for just knowing the meta and drafting him. Like, crazy mom. But, anyway, continue.
So I want to hear what you guys... I'll go first since I had him considerably lower than you guys did. There's a lot that goes on with this team that I do like a lot. As I was saying before, there was kind of like a barrier between the teams that I don't really like and the teams that I do genuinely like. And Brian's team was that barrier, because I do like this team. It's just, I don't know, a lot of the time it just kind of lacks the immediate power. And I just see it kind of as a long game sort of team. Like, you've got the Zamazenta, you've got the Greninja, then you have, like, that's it for immediate pressure. You have setup Mew, setup D-Knight.
I disagree. I think Panda Dragonite can apply immediate pressure down again, personally.
I mean, I guess.
I think it's so
but-
hard, dude.
Yeah, but then if you want to keep multi-scale intact, your only removal is Donphan, which again,
Right.
I don't think that's
normally
terrible.
removals,
I
but
don't
yeah.
know.
No. I don't know. I think it's just... I see what he's going for, I just don't think it did it the best.
I also hate Zoroark here.
Yeah, Zoroark is just I don't
Okay.
get why Zoroark's here.
I know why.
Okay, here,
For the
wait.
105 speed tier. I get why.
Zoroark should not
I
be
do-
in speed tier.
I do have a point. It looks very out of place, and at first I hated it. Then I thought about it, and it's literally there to disguise itself as Zama to knock the helmets off.
I didn't think about that. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I was like, the Zoroark guy makes zero sense on this team until I thought about it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just
fair.
there for the 105 speed, because if not, you're at the 122 to 100 speed gap.
Another
I-
issue
yeah.
I do have is what's his answer to ghost types?
Zoroark.
It's clearly the Zoroark, yeah. I'm telling you, the Zoroark.
Yeah, this team does
Like,
not switch into ghosts.
Okay, there's Terra Mew, which I'm
I
not
mean,
saying
yes,
there, but...
that's another thing that I had a problem with. I like Terra Mew. I drafted it myself. It's a good mon, but it doesn't really feel like a number one Terra option on a team.
Actually, I will
It
say, I hated
can-
Terra Mew at first here, but I kind of like it now.
No, it definitely works, especially since you already have Uxie, so Mew is going to be terrying pretty much every week. And it's a Mew, it does everything. But, I don't know, the hazards are good. I like the hazards on this team.
Yeah, the hazards are really good on this.
The removal is kind of whatever, it actually has good pivoting, so I do like this team. It just feels a lot more lackluster, in my opinion, than a lot of the teams I ranked ahead of it.
The Dark Resist is also Zoroark. This guy's carrying the team.
Zamazenta.
Zamazenta.
Oh yeah, the Zamazenta. Yeah. Oops. See, they're both
Right.
Dark resistant. You won't be able to tell once you hit it.
The fairy resists are Quillfish and Rotom Heat.
The fairy resists are
which-
Quillfish and Rotom Heat, which I think are either abusable or easy-ish to wear down. I will say.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
My other main thing was that I thought offensive waters look kind of good into this. Like D-Knight is probably the most reliable resist, but a lot of waters will break multi-scale and then proceed. Especially if they're faster, will proceed to ice move them.
Spies? I want to look at that 10 spot for a second. That 10 spot right. There's a Pokemon right there that waters
Oh,
don't like.
Lord.
And his name is Appleton. His name is,
Drawn to something.
his name is Appleton.
Oh, my other thing was that I think Rotom Heat's the only flying resist on this team.
Yes, that is correct. Which, yeah, that's probably.
On one hand, it could be scary, but there aren't as many super threatening flyings with super threatening flying stabs. So I don't know how big of a
I
problem that
heard
is.
the flying types this time.
It's like Torn Zapdos.
Yeah.
Other Zapdos.
Other Torn.
Other Torn. Other Moltres and other Moltres.
The biggest yeah, a lot of flying types. To be fair, flying is a pretty solid Terra type.
Yeah.
So,
Oh wait, he's got one himself. He's got D-Knight, except he can't Terra and give himself flying stat. But
right.
I thought the other thing was that you brought this up earlier. It does kind of feel like it lacks immediate power in some regards. The Banded D-Knight and Specs Gren are probably going to be the main way to straight muscle through things. But I do think this team has multiple ways of winning games. And
Oh yeah, it definitely
a
does.
few of your own resources that might look good in a particular endgame to enable another endgame, which I think is fine.
Yeah.
I will say, well, I have given my praises of the Terra Appleton, the almighty one. I must say, I do love the Terra Mew on the team, which I didn't at first, and I no one's really talked about it, but I'm looking at this team, and everything has a role, if that makes any sense. Dragonite will be a sweeper or a breaker, Greninja will probably set spikes or be specs or scarf, whatever, Donphan spins, Uxie screens, rock, Cedric, Goldfish sets hazards up, Zamazenta cleans with iron defense body press. Everything has a role. That's why I like Mew, because Mew can do whatever the fuck that role is. Do you need another breaker or cleaner that 1 week? I think Terra Mew can do a pretty decent job at it. I think this team is very role-based, and I think that's okay. And I think Mew fits really, really well on the team. I think can do I'll use this week against TJ, for example, his game he already played. He needed a better special ball this week, and he was able to fill that gap perfectly. So I do think that Mew is really, really good on it. It's really good. I love it here. And I'm not a huge fan of Terran Mew normally. I really like it here. Personally.
Yeah, no. I have faith that Brian can use this to good effect. It's just on paper, taking the coach out of the equation, I, again, just feel like it's still pretty lackluster. But yeah, anything else you guys have?
I think I'm good.
I must say one thing about a Pokemon I have not spoken about yet. Shout out to Pillfish, man. That's a great mon.
Alright. Coming up to the halfway point, we have Hunter Z Infected.
You guys are way too fucking generous. May I please explain my thoughts on this team?
Yeah.
Alright, so here's my thing. So speed is something that I think is very important this gen, saying it's a very offensive generation. May I read off the speed tiers of this team? Just a little. I don't need to read the whole 136, drops to 105, drops to 95, which drops to 75. That is really bad. Like, really bad. Like, this team, speed is terrible. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Pokemon 75 or below. 8! And normally I'm cool to excuse a lot of the stuff because if something's a good scarf or whatever. Nothing on this team really likes their own scarf besides, like, Toxtricity, maybe Lilligan, and maybe Hisuian Typhlosion. Like, this team is really, really fucking slow, and I don't like it. The removal's fine, but when it comes, and for being that slow of a team, I don't even think the breaking is that good. I think Ursaluna can break, Bundle can break, and Lilligan can, but besides the top 3, I think the team is maybe Toxtricity on a good day, but I feel like Tox is going to be scarfed a lot. I think this team, this is going to sound crazy for me, is a little too fast. Like, you got the Corviknight, which is fine here. You got the Florges, you got the Quagsire, you got Colossal and Bisharp I don't like here. Braviary I don't like. This team doesn't have speed, it doesn't really have a lot of ways to put immediate pressure, which I don't like either. I don't know, I think this team is extremely, extremely flawed. Like, really flawed. Also, outside of Corviknight, this team does not like Edgequake at all. I mean, Corviknight is really good at countering, but like, I don't know. Corviknight's kind of important to this team, I feel.
Whoa, you've got famous Edgequake resist Hisui and Lilligan.
Right.
Fuck, my bad.
I will say, I think you're kind of underselling Braviary's fit here, because I actually do like that a lot. It has the Esper Wing to help with that speed issue, and it definitely has a lot of that breaking power that you were mentioning. Toxtricity absolutely can be a breaker. It hits really hard. It has good setup options to boost that speed to even higher levels. But really, the top 3 mons are what makes this team for me. I think they just complement each other really well, and they're all going to force a ton of prep, and the team has enough ways to just move and position itself around to take advantage of that.
I agree the top 3 mons are by far the best part of this team. It's the rest of it. Corviknight's fine. It is the last 7 mons that I do not like for this team, personally.
I honestly like this team up to Bisharp.
Like, why is Quagsire here? I don't get it. There's a ground type already, there's a ground and poison already, there's a special wall and Fortress already. I don't get why Quagsire is on this. What does it do?
It sets hazards, because it's the only thing besides Colossal and Bisharp that sets hazards.
That is true, I suppose. Is that really the only thing that sets hazards?
Yeah,
I thought the team hazards were better.
Colossal, Bisharp, Quagsire. Toxtricity gets T-Spikes.
Oh yeah, T-Spikes on Tox.
I'll say the removal's better than most teams, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
This team does have nice removal. Like, I have this team at 12, it's not like it was last. I'm hitting on this team a little too much here. I just really, really like the top three, and I think after that, I think it was kind of fumbled. It was like, what upsets me, I think that speed is just such a big deal, though. Like, that gap is huge.
I think. Okay, so what spoke to me about this team was you just bring the top four every week, and what do you do about the game plan that Ursaluna got in to kill things in the game with one of Bundle or Lilligant? And that's going to happen a lot of weeks because not a lot of teams have answers to Ursaluna, and this team has really good ways of getting it in, whether it be through Bundle flip turning from the Bundle flip turning from special wall, like the Suing Gudra we mentioned earlier. It switches in, Bundle flip turns, Ursaluna's ready to kill something. Corviknight comes in, you want to go into something, breaks it, you turn Ursaluna's in, and you're going to have to sack something. I think that this team is going to be really good at forcing favorable kills, forcing favorable positions for the top three to claim something. I think not a lot else matters, except for maybe could have better hazard siders, because I think Claude's a bit passive. Claude kills a bit of the momentum out of this team, what likes to give off, and I kind of feel similarly about Colossal. Bisharp is a Bisharp. It's whatever.
It do be a Bisharp.
It might unironically be one of the better Scarfers on this team, though, I will say.
Which is a big problem. In my opinion.
But yeah, I think
huge issue.
Yeah, I think the main thing is that Corv might have a lot to do on this team defensively, and I think because of that, fighting types look pretty good into this team, because Florges and Clodsire are there, but they're
Typhlosion,
Braviary Typhlosion too, you think?
I don't know, it just fightings with good secondary stabs posed quite an issue, I thought.
Balkoval goes in against this team. That mom's just broken, so it's okay.
Well, Claude is forced to run with the water absorb. But my point was that like a bunch of the fighting resists were more primarily special walls than physical walls. A lot of fighting types typically do have these really good secondary physical stats.
Mm. All right. We have anything else, or I think we covered everything pretty well.
Terra Bundle's really good.
Oh yeah, disgusting.
Thing is crazy.
The ice resists are also kind of iffy. It's like Coal and Sharp, and like Explosion and Bundle. But I mean, obviously not amazing.
Florges can be a pseudo. Florges is a pseudo special ice resist at least.
This team doesn't have any Jcaps switch-ins.
Who does?
Yeah, I guess it's a joke. But
to be a bit more positive, though, the last thing I have to say is that this is one of the better teams into offensive fairy types. Claude plus
for sure.
I think those two are going to really annoy.
Tox too.
And Tox, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this team's going to really annoy fairy types.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't bring your own Amorous to this team. Don't like it.
So moving on, we have Hopeless. It's a team. It's a team I actually quite like, but
that's attack. You earn points for drafting the Toxapex. I'll give you that much. That's the Toxapex, man. That's my baby. So, Hopeless knew I was doing poison points PRs.
Since I ranked this team so highly, I actually do have quite a bit to say. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like to take the floor here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, so obviously, starting off, Iron Valiant, Terra Volcarona is quite honestly one of the best starts you could get. They just work very well together. Very, very scary. Iron Valiant can go physical, special, whatever. Especially with the booster energy unbanned for this season, it just gets that much more power. Then you pair it with Rotom Wash, which is going to be a really annoying, bulky pivot. Tinkaton has a lot of utility there. Can be really annoying. Decidueye, its removal, it's kind of an awkward type this gen, I've found, just through running through things. A lot of mons this gen just kind of struggle with it. Terra Haxorus can break and sweep, which is honestly where one of the more underrated parts of this team come in, and I think Dugtrio works really well on this team. Because between Ivy, Volk, Haxorus, there's going to be really only like 1, maybe 2 Mons on a team that can take care of those. And even just forcing them to run Shed Shell is so huge.
Is that a thing this gen?
Yes.
Like, be a bleeding force to run Shed Shell? I don't know.
Yes, because
Like
if Dugtrio comes in, kills or even just weakens something to allow then Volcarona to come in and set up, Haxorus to come in to set up, or Valiant to get in a perfect position to just clean, it's terrifying. The hazard setting is not the worst.
Could be better.
Could definitely be better, but it's enough. But the removal is solid. It has good priority across the board on the team. It has a lot of really annoying utility. I don't really see any like major standout weaknesses here. But I'm a big fan of this team. I think it's just going to be really annoying to prep against and play against. So, yeah.
What's it? So I felt that like outside of like the top, obviously top 2 plus Haxorus offensively, this team felt a bit underwhelming. Like a lot of the bulk outside of like Washtum, I felt didn't really threaten a lot of things. Like Pex is pretty passive. I don't think Tinkaton does much damage either.
Oh, Bernie.
Otherwise, okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
Tinkaton not doing much damage. Fairies.
Well, okay. If you want it to do damage, then you're cutting into the bulk, I think, pretty hard. Something I didn't think about until it was brought up just now was how well Dugtrio does synergize with, especially the top 2, because because Valiant's dual stabs are walled by poisons, and Volcarona historically has been a Mon paired. That has been like part of the reason why Dugtrio keeps getting banned in OU, because it's a popular Volcarona partner. It's popular in the sense that it gets rid of a bunch of Volcarona's checks pretty well. But still, I thought that this team's kind of weak to ghosts. Like Komal and Bombardier aren't amazing resists. I think the ground type being Dugtrio, while I do think it does synergize well offensively with the team, it opens up offensive electrics and rocks quite a bit, as I think Haxorus and Decidueye are the electric resist, and Tinkaton's the rock resist, which isn't amazing, especially since I think Tinkaton over the course of the game will get worn down pretty easily, and since rock is a primarily physical dominated stab, while Tinkaton I think is better special wall than it is a physical wall, or pivot, check, whatever. I think rocks, obviously there aren't like a lot of rocks, but I think the ones that do exist, once they get through Tinkaton, will have pretty good time to this team. Let's see, anything else? The removal being Decidueye Komala isn't the worst. I do think the talk specs oddly adds some value to this team, because I think it lets Rotom Wash be a little more offensive, which is especially helpful because I think it's also the best Scarfer on the team. And let's see, do I have anything else? I do think that Tink and Washtum can get overwhelmed pretty easily, and that talk specs is itself is easy to abuse. So there might be a few situations where Hopeless gets reversed, like they're up, but then they like misposition Washtum, Tink, or Pex, and Amon just randomly sweeps.
Yeah, I can see that. Jcaps, do you have anything?
Yeah, this seems like fun. I feel like this team is very like self-explanatory. You kind of are looking at it and you're like, oh yeah, well everything kind of goes together. I think I am very critical of Iron Diamond question, but this team is built around pretty well. You're gonna do a lot of you're gonna do a lot of setup with Hackers and Volk Corona, kill a lot of things. Whenever you don't kill, it's gained up by Valiant. You guys made a good points about Doug Trio. I will say, you guys said the hazard setting was okay. I disagree. I don't like it on this team. Pretty much think it's an Doug Trio. I don't think Bombardier is coming to a lot of games. And I don't think you really want to run Dougie a lot unless you have to, especially if it's going to be break. Like, if I break, I mean running a choice bank. It's the only way it can break because it's Dougie. And Tinkerton's gonna have to run rocks every single week, which isn't fun. But besides that, no, this team's just pretty good. I mean, I have really nothing much to say. It's a pretty well-constructed team. Nothing sticks out to me too much. I do agree with Spies, though. My biggest criticism probably was just the lack of offensive power, which sounds crazy. But Haxorus, Volcarona, and Iron Valiant are the really only things that I'm, like, terrified of on there. Like, I'm looking at the rest of this team, and I'm like, oh, whatever. No, I'm not really concerned about anything else. But it's definitely a well-constructed team for sure. Hence my 7 rating. So unless you guys have anything else to say, I'm down to move on to the next one.
I am too. Spies?
Okay, so we have Slap.
Mr. Slap.
Team of Dragon Bolt. Yeah, it's the Dragon Bolt team.
Can I take the floor on this one?
I want to hear what you guys think about this before I...
Okay. This was my one. This was my one. I love this team so fucking much. I really, really, really love this team, and I will explain why. I'm looking at Dragapult, which I don't need to explain what Dragapult does. It is Dragapult. It is a goddamn medical society. Zapdos is really good on this team, helps a lot with waters. And what I love most about Zapdos here is it doesn't need to switch into stuff. You have Tinglu, and you have Skeledirge, which, by the way, these two are awesome together. I think they're great, because Tinglu a lot of the times can be set up fodder potentially. It usually isn't because it gets Whirlwind to the top. In case it is, you have Skeledirge there. Lycanroc is awesome. This team's two main weaknesses, Fortress being your only hazard removal isn't the best, but it's not the worst only option to have, since that's mainly what Fortress is doing. I love Vascular Legion. It puts a lot of pressure on with Dragapult for switching into Ghost moves, because Vascular Legion is not easy to switch into at all. Skuntank is a good mob. I don't really get the green and pick too much, because you have Tinglu to resist the Ghosts, but whatever, cool mon. Skuntank is a good here, such T-Spikes, Grounded Poison. Good mon, I've always liked Skuntank. My one criticism is I would have liked to maybe just Terra the Lycan Dust and get rid of the Iron Leaves, since Terra, Iron Leaves, and Lycan Dust are kind of similar. Do around the same thing, around the same speed tier, but it's not a huge deal. Iron Leaves provides another offense for this team. I love this team. It has great hazard setting with Tinglu and Fortress, and even Lycanroc. I love this team. I think it's fantastic. Very well built, I think. It has a really good amount of offense, good Scarfers, good ways to break with Pult, Zapdos, Lycanroc, Iron Leaves, Vascular Legion. Good walls with Tinglu and Skeledirge, who are two of the best walls in the game. I love this team. And I know people say, well, it has Triple Ghost on it. Not me mocking Bernie or anything. But, and to that I say, Dragapult and Vascular Legion are both fine. They will both, Vascular Legion will put a lot of pressure on the stuff that checks Dragapult, so it'll help Dragapult a lot. They also do two completely different things most of the time. And Skeledirge is not gonna be a Ghost type 99% of the time. So I don't think that is a big deal at all. I love this team so much. This is definitely my favorite team. 100%.
Right. Spies, do you have anything to add to that before I take the floor?
Oh, you can take the floor and then I'll give my 2 cents after, I think.
Alright. So we have Dragapult, which is Dragapult, self-explanatory. After that, the speed drops down to like 110, right? Am I mistaken there?
Speed is pretty good.
Fine. Or is it like 113 with Iron Leaves? I don't know.
Iron Leaves is 104.
104? Okay. So 110, the speed just feels kind of lackluster. Sure, you have Dragapult, but then a lot of things can run that plus speed nature on the Lycanroc. But then you get to the defensive core of Zapdos, Tinglu, Skeledirge. Like you said, Skeledirge is not going to be a fire or well, in this case, fire type most of the time, which I feel like leaves this team quite ice weak. And with how many strong ice types there are in this game, sure, there's a fortress, but it's a fortress. You shouldn't have a fortress coming to every game, which especially is a problem since it's your only form of removal. I don't know. It just... A big criticism I also have is you have Iron Leaves without electric terrain support, Basky Legion without rain support, and neither of those need it. It just feels like they're much more restrained on what they can do. Even though Iron Leaves is Terra, I don't know why it is when Lycanroc is right there, and it's just... Lycanroc's a legitimately fantastic Terra option, but you went with the Iron Leaves. It could have just been New Toy Syndrome. I don't really know. Skuntank, I don't rate at all this gen. I just don't think it's bulky enough, and Didn't it lose Defog? I'm pretty sure it lost Defog. Did it?
I think so.
Yeah, which... Yeah, that was like its one big niche being a low-tier, relatively bulky defogger, and it lost that.
Niche is like suicide aftermath.
Right, which is... Yeah. Greedent shouldn't come.
Did any...
I don't get why Green's on this team.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It just feels like a team that relies so much on its defensive core that once that gets broken down, it's just gonna crumble. It just feels like I don't know. I don't love the synergy here at all. So, I mean, I can totally see why you would like this team a lot. Personally, it is not at all something I see really working this gen. I feel like it's too almost slow. Not passive, just kind of slow, and it wants to play the long game, which is not how I've seen meta be at.
I heavily disagree with that, actually. I think not the quote-unquote long game, but I know what you mean while, like, wearing down Skeleturge and Ting-Lu, but you gotta remember one thing about Skeleturge and Ting-Lu that are a lot different from the walls of the past. They're gonna do a lot of damage to you while you chip them down. A lot of damage.
Well, yeah, I'm not trying to say they're passive, it's just...
But I'm saying once they go down, Pokemon like Dragapult, Lycanroc, Iron Leaf, Basky Legion, even Zapdos, that they can be offensive on this team, are going to have a really good time because of the amount of chipping down Skeleturge and Ting-Lu are going to be doing to the team. And I get the whole point about Fortress being the only removal, but like I said before, this team can win the Hazard War. It has Ting-Lu, which in my opinion is the best hazard setter in the game. It has Fortress, which is one of the best low-tier hazard setters in the game. Lycanroc can set hazards.
Never wants to.
Never wants to. I've seen like Sash can if it wants to, like yeah. I know what you mean, but I disagree. I think Skeleturge and Ting-Lu are going to chip down a lot of teams, put them in the spot for Dragapult or Lycanroc or even Iron Leaf. Yeah, I just think this team is very well constructed. I agree with you on the ice weakness part though. That ice types are going to have to be something this team watches out for sure, like 100%.
Oh,
like, definitely.
I forgot to bring up ground weakness as well, outside of Zapdos. This team does not appreciate an Earthquake.
I think Ting-Lu, similar to Powdon, does not care about EQs. It's in Dig-Like corner.
Well, depends.
Okay, so... What's it?
Definitely think Ting-Lu is meant to be the more especially defensive Mon, which means those Banded and just heavily offensive EQs will hurt if they're stunned.
Well, you can't really bring Banded against the Zapdos, though.
No, I'm not saying Banded, just like... I don't know, I just look at this team and outside of the Dragapult, I'm seeing Great Tusk having a great time here.
Hey man, Air Balloon Pult.
Air Balloon Pult is going to save the day. I mean, Air Balloon Basky Legion even.
Yo, true, hard counter. Just ignore just ignore the funny knockoff button.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think after hearing both you, like, I've always thought, like, I did rank it high, but I've always thought that this team felt a little bit like a little snake oily, and I think I understand why now. I think this team crumbles to a lot of things. It relies on King Lu a lot, and I think another thing is that this team unironically feels better when the Dirge doesn't Terra. We've mentioned ice, we've mentioned ground, but we haven't mentioned fairy yet. And the moment the Skeledirge Terras, fairies also look extremely terrifying for this team. I think ground isn't as big of an issue, because that's where I'm kind of seeing why the Iron Leaves is here now. Is that this Iron Leaves also provides like an offensive pivot to threaten both grounds and waters, which otherwise both look really good into this team.
That is true.
At least Iron Leaves forces switches. You can Terra. I mean, it doesn't. I think the thing is that both the Terramons don't like terraing out of their types, because I think both their types provide important defensive niches for this team to like keep momentum going. I do think that like Zapdos is cool on this team as like an offensive pivot. I think you instead of trying to run it defensively, I do think it's just better to hit like modest hurricanes and T-bolts onto things and like pivot in once or twice this game in games is I think what the team's going to have to do. But overall, I think this team relies a lot on Ting Lu to be able to stave off X threat until either Dirge Terras to a second resist or stays like its own type, because without it, both fairy types, fairies and ice look pretty threatening, but also like you might want to Terra anyway because grounds look threatening, waters look threatening. I think Ting Lu is just going to have a lot to do, especially since I do think the triple ghost matters to the extent that like this team's going to always be dark and ghost weak, and while Ting Lu can handle most of them, if one does manage to break past, it is looking quite dire. But yeah, I think overall this team feels a bit more fragile than it actually is, and it doesn't feel as powerful as it should be to compensate, I think.
All right.
I will also add that only removal fortress isn't as bad if you think about it, because I think a lot of the good mons on this team want to be running boots anyway.
That is true.
But yeah, I think that's all I have.
Yeah, that I think that more than covers everything. So I think at this point really is just see how Slap does with it.
Slap, don't you goddamn fail me. Swear to God, don't make me fucking look bad.
Well, next up, if you guys are all cool with moving on.
Absolutely.
We have ASDF.
Hey, look, it's the Pokemon no one can switch into.
Right. I will let you guys start.
You have it at 2. You sure you don't want to go?
Yeah, I will. Okay. So, right off the bat, Qianpao, arguably, it's arguably a top 2 mon in this meta. It is.
It's the best mon in the draft. You can just say it's the
probably.
Like,
it is just so unbelievably strong, and as we've been seeing, like, almost none of these teams can switch into Qianpao at all. It's so good, and then you pair it with a super powerful and super dangerous Terra specially offensive threat in Iron Moth. That just amplifies the power so much more. Then you have Sizzler for like a pretty solid remover this gen. Salamence is a fantastic backup Terra option. It has a lot of potential, and even without Terra, I think Salamence this gen is totally fine. Mesprit's fantastic for support. Mimikyu. Tauros Aqua, I think, is really solid defensively and glues this team together quite well. Bellybolt is awesome as a low tier option. It's really hard to kill, and it hits back surprisingly hard. Arcanine Hisui is just kind of another nuke. It's going to be really hard to switch into the especially the physical offensive power of Chien-Pao plus Arcanine, and then you have the mascot Mudbray. He's just a good boy.
Wait, was Mudbray a mascot pick?
I don't know. I'm just calling it a mascot pick because it's a baby
I thought you
one
just needed
pointer.
a ground type. I thought you just wanted a ground type.
His ground type is Bellybolt, trust.
I mean, Bellybolt's a really good Pokemon. I can accept that.
So what's it? I think my main gripe with this team is I think the top four is probably one of the more powerful top fours in the league, but I don't think that. I think it would have benefited more from more hazard setters or better hazard setters, and maybe another remover.
I can't agree.
Because I think Chien-Pao and Iron Moth are at their best when they, even like Salamence are at their best when they don't have to be running the boots. Will be annoying for them because they'll want to run it each week because the removal is just Scizor. And I think this is another team that really enjoys hazards, really biting into the opposing team. Like a rock plus a spike doing 25 for like the top four is really big for them. Let's see. I do think that the top four do complement each other fairly well in terms of breaking and resisting. Like you can pivot around fairies that Chien-Pao and Salamence might, fairy moves, sorry, that Salamence and Chien-Pao might not like. With Iron Moth and Scizor, you can pivot Mence or Moth on the fire moves that Scizor doesn't want to eat. You can pivot Mence to the fighting moves that Chien-Pao doesn't want to take, etc., etc. I do think breaking bulky waters without Terra can be surprisingly hard for this team. I don't think it's a big problem seeing that bulky waters don't super exist in this meta. And then having to choose between Moth and Mence to Terra them each game could be also really annoying. And then I guess the other things on the ground type is a Mudbray.
Mudbray.
Oh yeah, and ground types themselves are like obnoxiously solid into this team.
Ground types
Mence,
don't win
Terra.
against this team. Yeah, ground types are
Yeah,
really
if the Mence
good
Terra,
in this game.
then it's just really the Mesprit that wants to take ground moves.
Tauros definitely can.
It can.
Yeah,
Yeah,
depending on the
especially with Intimidate.
depending on the ground type, Scizor can. Like I said, depending on the ground type.
I think Scizor is heavily pressured to be defensive every week with this team. Like, heavily pressured into that defensive role every week, which I don't think it always wants to do. I did agree with Spies. This team, normally I'm pretty cool with teams only having one remover this gen. When your offensive Pokemon, Chien-Pao, Iron Moth, Salamence, Arcanine, who are all weak to Stealth Rocks, they don't. Salamence can run boots. The other three, man, they don't want to. Arcanine does not want to. Chien-Pao doesn't want to. Moth does not want to. So when Scizor is your only remover on this team, and you're not running a Hazard War, Mesprit is the only rocker on this team. No, Arcanine, they do not count. They do not. I mean, Arcanine does, but it's clicking that head smashing flare, but it's never. I don't think I've seen that thing click rock like ever in my entire life. So, like, the only real hazard setting is Mesprit and Moth for T-Spike. Mimic Burning smoothly skipped over that.
You don't talk about
Yeah, I mean, I
think he did work.
no matter how much I like this
He did
team,
last season.
I can't defend the Mimikyu.
I was going to defend the Mimikyu.
Oh, really?
In here as well, because I dropped the Mimikyu too, and for I think the same reason that he did. Mimikyu this gen, in my opinion, is a damn okay support mod. I'm not like Thunder Wave and Wisp are pretty good this gen, like, and it can always get it off with Disguise. Saying, I think Mimikyu isn't terrible. Is it good?
That's Trick
No.
too.
Trick as well. Yeah, Mimikyu.
Rysai learned that last
Yeah. Normally, I think Mimikyu. Don't get me wrong, is Mimikyu a good mod? No. But for points, which it's never really been, I think it's really good benefit for all it does. Like, genuine. Because Mimikyu doesn't need to be offensive, this team. This team has some of the best breaking in the league. I just think the breaking is great, but all around it struggles with its other roles. short, the team doesn't like to switch into much. Like, when this team needs to switch into things, you're going belly bolt mess. You're gonna have to have a good time because I don't know what's coming in on stuff. Maybe Tauros, maybe Scizor,
But I don't think this team really cares, because I think this team easily can win the sack war.
if the opponent gets rocked up though, can it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Can it really win? I don't know. I just don't like how this team is a hazard.
yeah.
It only having Scizor for removal.
I think it needed another remover. Yeah,
I can agree with that.
It wouldn't, because I think it appreciates the added power that, like, let's say a band or specs add to Chien-Pao and Moth respectively.
Yeah.
I think Arcanine needs a ban to, like, most of the time to truly reach its full potential here. I also think Belly Bolt has way too much to do for a 5-pointer. Like, I don't know, it's your main Spadef wall and your electric switch in, like, nothing else on the team. Like, I'm not over-exaggerating, nothing else on the team can switch into electric moves. Nothing.
This guy will sneeze later, fun fact.
Until Dire Claw fucks him over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this team is going to be playing the sack war most of the time. That is true, but if you're going to be playing the sack war, you probably should draft with more removal, in my personal opinion. But I do like this team is very scary. I went out on one. It is generally scary to switch into, for sure. Terrifying. I also like that both of his Terra Pokemon don't need to be Terra, which I don't know. I actually kind of like Mence without Terra, and same for Moth. Like, you don't need to be Terra. So I like that. You can go either or, and the other can still be thrown in. But I just think defensively and hazardly, this team is heavily lacking.
Defensively and hazardly.
Like, hazard setting and removal. We're putting it in one. Hazardly, it's a new word. There you go.
Something that wasn't mentioned before is that I actually think the priority on this team is really solid. You've got Scizor Bullet Punch, you've got both Sucker and Ice Shard from Chien-Pao, which will hurt like a truck. And then also Arcanine Hisui is just extreme speeds.
Speed.
You really don't like that Mimikyu.
Water,
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna get there. Mimikyu Shadow Sneak.
We're also forgetting Tauros Aqua Jet.
Yeah, exactly. And I think... No, Mudbray doesn't learn Quick Attack. I'm going too far.
Hold on, does it?
I don't think it's...
Scizor learns Quick Attack.
Scizor does learn Quick Attack.
Scizor learns Quick Attack.
It does not learn Quick Attack.
That would have been funny if a little donkey running at you quickly.
Okay, click donkey.
Anyway.
Poor Mimikyu. We should just, like, cut the Mimikyu out when we put the picture and just cut it out.
Yeah, that would have been funny. Alright. I think that just about covers it.
I agree.
Alright. Next up, we have Palkia.
Spies, take us away.
Yeah, this is your number one.
So, it's hard because I like it and I don't like it. It's constructed very solidly. It's constructed in a way that I think I play and view the game. But it's also constructed with a bunch of mons that I don't think I'd use myself in mainly in Goldango, Alecki, and like anything that's not the Azu, Hydra, or Ursaring. Or I guess Heracross too. Oh, Muck is also the goat. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted because I really like this team. I like the idea of the team. The mons itself on the team don't pop out at me a lot. I think generally, what's it? First of all, it's like one of the strangely especially offensive compared to most of the other teams.
You think so?
Yeah, and yeah, I think Alecki, Hydra. I mean, yeah, they all exist, but I think like Alecki, Hydra, Goldango, Azel. Like, I think it leans a bit special. I don't think there's obviously very strong physical offense in Azu, Hera, Ursaring, even Rillaboom. I guess it goes both, or it's a pretty good mix of physical and special offense. Speed's okay. It's well, I mean, Alecki's going to be the fastest mon on the field each week, and Azelf is okay. I think what jumps out at me compared to like, let's say Money Guy's team, where I also had a problem with the speed, was that I think a lot of the scarfers on this team are decent at scarfing. You've got Goldango, you've got Hydra, you've got Heracross, you can even scarf Rillaboom.
Rillaboom loves scarf this shit.
Typhlo, if need be.
Yeah. What's it? Priority, I think it's okay. It's like E-speed on Alecki and Jet on Azu mainly.
That's. I mean, I guess does Ursaring even get quick attack? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
What is your obsession?
I think Mons on the offensive side have both. So this is the main thing that jumped out to me, is that the Mons on the offensive side both have solid natural bulk and good natural resistances, namely Goldango, Azu, Hydra, even like Heracross to some extent, and like Rillaboom too. I think like all the Mons like contribute their resistances pretty well to each other. Like Goldango and Azu, decent ice switch-ins, pivots to ice moves. Hydra can pivot in. Hydra, Rillaboom, Azelf can pivot in on ground moves. Hydra also doesn't mind psychic or dark, or even like water, fire moves. I think just generally there are a lot of really good natural. There's like solid natural bulk and like solid natural resistances on the team. And I think my main issue is that they're all solid. None of them are like outstanding that field. So I do think like a strong enough breaker, a strong enough hammer can just hammer through this team. But they'll also have to be decently supported in order to do so, because I think this team has a lot of tools to navigate most games pretty easily or pretty well.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And I really do like this team. It's very well constructed. I just don't think there's really one thing that it does really well. It's just kind of
wait.
balanced.
Another gripe real quick. Alecki is the only removal, which is kind of
Yeah.
Like Alecki will be able to fit removals, so I don't know how much that matters.
I think that's really good, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another thing I have is, where's your special switch in?
Special what?
Your special switch in. What do you switch in on special moves?
Muck.
Your 3-point muck.
Ursaring.
Mm-hmm.
Ursaring is the specs bundle switch. Doesn't get 3 at carry.
So hey.
Unless it's Terra.
Yeah, I mean, Terra fighting.
Yeah. Azu's the bundle answer.
In what universe?
Oh wait, it's Terra. JK. Well.
Also, Freeze Dry exists.
Yeah, it has 6.
Okay, then you're not running huge power Azu, and
That's okay.
but
think.
I mean, the hazard setting is solid. You got Hydra, Azelf, Mudsdale, Heracross, Muck even. The removing, as we said, is an issue. I don't really like the speed. You have good Scarfers, but it goes from Alecki, which honestly doesn't even count as a cheat code of a speed tier, to Azelf, and then down to, like, what, Typhlosion, Heracross, or Hydreigon?
Not the Typhlosion.
Yeah, it's...
Typhlosion.
Speed is kind of suspect.
Is terrible.
Yeah. There's a lot of crowding around that like 80 to 90 speed tier. And even a little bit lower to like where the Azu, Mudsdale, Muck are. I don't know. It's definitely a good team. I ranked it number 7 for a reason. I think it has the potential to do very well. I feel like there's also the chance that it just does not end up working out. But the threat of Terra Alecki, Terra Hydra, Azu, I think is fantastic this gen. It works, and I do genuinely like the team. Another thing which hasn't been brought up is you can actually pull off Terra flying Alecki acrobatic strategies super easily with Rilla. because you can just activate.
True.
You can pop the grassy seed. I think,
Yeah.
and that also gives it additional bulk. I think that will actually be a really scary option this team provides. But obviously Aleki still has just the disgusting power of the special set as well.
Yeah.
Crazy to think after last gen.
For real. My main issue, I've actually had this team in my top 5 at first, and then I put everything into a matchup doc, and I'm like, holy shit, the team slow as balls. We were like, on paper, when you look at this team, it looks good. Like, the thing that synergizes really damn fucking well. It's just so slow. And no, I am not speed creeping for a Typhlosion. Like, I don't know, the team it's really good. I put it at my halfway point for a reason. It's a really good team, and the synergizes pretty well. I think the speed, and I know we kind of glossed, like, kind of went over it, but I think Aleki being the only hazard removal is actually really bad for his team, since a lot of his offense is going to come from Aleki. You don't want it spinning too. Like, and this team isn't winning any hazard war either. You're not the one who's you are the one who's going to be forced to get rid of the hazards, not your opponent. Because Hydreigon is not running Rock, Azelf and Mudsdale can, but the team hazard setting isn't terrible, but it's not amazing enough where you're forcing your opponent to be the one to run removal. You're going to be the one running removal, and Aleki being your only remover to do that is not good. So, like, this team has great synergy. It is very scary to switch into. I just think it's missing in a lot of categories sometimes when it needs to. Yeah, personally.
No, I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah. I think
You guys
how I put it is that the team is built well enough, but it's built out of like Mega Blocks instead of Legos.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
All
Well,
right.
this team your number one. You do not sound very confident for this team being your number one.
I don't know. I think like on paper, like when you list out all the attributes of this team, I like it, but it's built out of Mons I'm not confident in outside of like Azu Hydreigs.
Crazy how Ursaring is on that list this gen as compared to previous gens.
Ursaring is
Ursaring is a solid low tier mod now. It's crazy how much EV Light does to you.
That is the hungry man.
Alright. You guys ready to move on?
Yep.
Alright. Coming up next is Mr. Slick Panther. Newest moderator. Oh yeah, no, I hate him. No. His team.
I hate him too.
His TDT team, the worst. They absolutely suck.
See, if I said that about my team, it wouldn't matter if it was
Like all my homies.
Yeah, all my homies hate Slick. But no, this team, you guys ranked it pretty high, and while I do,
Rayloom.
yeah,
Okay, no.
while I do really like this team a lot, it's just looking at it, I probably would rank it a little higher looking at it now compared to when I did my rankings. But no, I still really like this team.
Bro has the mono Jcaps tattoo team. The screen
True.
games are.
True.
Bro has the mono.
Wait, when'd you get the? Anyway, that's that for after. Gotcha.
But
gotcha.
anyway, I think I like
This is another team.
Fucking love this team. Really
This is
do.
another team where it's like the type of it's built well, but it's built out of Mega Blocks instead of Legos type deal. Outside the first two, I think the first two are really, really broken on.
I will say, I think Slick's biggest weakness here is his lack of win cons. Like, you're looking at Palace and Game, and then, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
like,
Scarf Moxie Brook.
like,
That guy still exists. Surely.
Hey man, some of these teams are pretty fucking weak at Earthquakes. You know that.
This is true. This is very true.
But like, who's the fucking one guy like desperate as the ground resist Kirk's gonna go crazy against that team. But I really do like Slick's team. I just think it lacks win cons. However, but that being said, these are some really good damn support Pokemon around him.
Oh yeah.
Really good support Pokemon. Like, Screamtail is probably the best one in the game. One of them, this gen, I'd say. Up there has to be. The Screamtail is him. Noivern and Braviary good remover. The team has hazards can be desired, but not bad. I don't. Screamtail can always get him off. Crook is always going to get him off. Gengar can T-Spike. Something.
King Gambit can run it.
It will never and does not want to. I don't even like. I don't also. This is just going to be a bit of a nitpick. I don't like Terra Gengar, but that's. I don't know.
I think it works.
I think it's a nitpick. Like, just Terra Gambit all the time. I'm like, sure. I'm the gang.
I think there's matchups where Gengar goes just absolutely ham when you have Terra as an option with it, because there's just some times where it's just one mon that prevents Gengar from just going crazy. I think Terra can get around that.
This really synergizes well.
I do really like the synergy of this team. It actually has two solid removers as well. It has great support.
Another Carbink too.
Great priority too.
Yeah, great priority. And what's it?
Oh yeah, priority is crazy.
Arcanine.
Yeah.
And like, it's all good priority. Like,
yeah.
Really,
yeah.
Hold up. Wait, does Braviary get quick attack? Hold on.
No, it does not. It did.
Don't.
It did in Legends Arceus, but it didn't keep it.
No. This is upsetting, but it's okay. Maybe Noivern and Terra over Gengar. Actually, thinking about it now.
I could see that, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't really matter.
No.
I love this team. I really do. I think round 3 Screamtail was fucking brilliant. I didn't like it at first when I saw it, but goddamn, it worked out because it just Screamtail is really important to this team. I think. I also like that Slick was not afraid to dive into his double typings to counter certain types.
Right.
If that makes any sense. Because I think a lot of people are for some reason, and you shouldn't be. Like, if that Crocodile wasn't there, the team gets fucked by any Ghost type, no to Mankind. So, like, even if there is Braviary, it doesn't do much.
And that also comes up with ground types, because your resists are Breloom, and then immunities Noivern Braviary.
Which I think is enough, personally.
No, I think it is. It's enough to cover for it, but
yeah. But like, what's it?
Just something to keep.
If a ground type is scary enough, you just scare it out with the Palafin.
Exactly, or use it as setup fodder, because this team has a lot of setup threats too.
It does,
like,
dude.
even
Breloom,
even Screamtail like kind of blanks most stab EQs. And I think Noivern and Braviary are enough of like a choice EQ deterrent.
That is something to bring up, is that the speed isn't like super amazing, but again, it has such good priority, and it actually has
the speed fly.
Yeah, it has really good Scarfers too, so.
Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna be honest, normally I'm kind of a bitch about speed this gen, but Palafin, King Gambit, and Breloom, 3 of the best, 2 or 3 of the best. I think Palafin and King Gambit are probably the best priority users in the game, I'd say, and you have both of them.
Yeah.
So,
not to mention, with speed, Screamtail loves running Thunderwave. And that...
It does.
Yeah.
It likes to run speed too, which I know
it does.
Crazy, but it does. So you can't really not creep for Screamtail, even though you have Gengar, like borderline the same speed, so it doesn't really.
Right.
But, yeah. I wish I think this team higher, honestly. I don't think it would matter based off our rankings, but I really like this team. Seems cool.
Yeah.
EDC killer right there.
Electrics and flyings could be a bit annoying, but like those typings are a bit rare this gen.
Yeah.
Sir, there is a whole Carbink.
The Fistier Doomslayer.
Yeah, fact.
So, are you guys ready to move on to the bronze medal finisher here?
Slick already is the bronze medal.
Silver.
Silver.
Sure.
Yeah. We got Sablo.
This guy is the best Pokemon in the gen, so how could he not be second?
Yeah, Brambleghast is broken.
Exactly,
Yeah.
man.
Brambleghast guy is kind of insane he got Brambleghast
Right?
7th round.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
It's a round 5 pick.
Okay, in all seriousness, I'm talking about Torn.
Yeah, of course.
I do think Torn is not the best Pokemon this gen. It's fucking up there. Then Terra Torn can do anything offensively and defensively. The team is built around it fantastically. Thunderous with it is amazing. I will say Thundy likes its Terra. It doesn't need it, though. Sabo, I will say, you drafted a Garchomp. Look, man. Not every team needs a Suicide Rocket. It's okay. Garchomp is a good Suicide Rocket for what it does. Okay, I'm joking. Garchomp is a really good Pokemon. It's very good.
Garchomp is fantastic this gen.
I know, I always shit on Garchomp, it's like my thing. Cinderace is really cool for this team, which I will say, I like this team's talent durable. I know it may not sound good, but Core Change, which I will, and Criticism, it's not the best, but Cryogonal and Brambleghast are not bad options. You can usually fit one of them on your roster to do something, in my opinion.
Having used Brambleghast, it can come and do, like, surprisingly well.
It's good. It's good. It's hard.
I kind of think people are putting it, it's been consistently a 4-point mon throughout the entire gen. I could see it going up. Because, like, it actually has some good uses, and its typing is not bad.
I wonder what morons are doing with Karen, man. Fucking idiot.
Yeah, right? God. But, no.
This team is crazy.
It's so good. It's so
really
good.
Fucking good. You got Chomp, Overquill, Brambleghast, Gastrodon, Copperajah. Jesus Christ, man. And the team has screens, too, to go on top of everything.
And T-Wave support.
Before Spies gets to it, he's gonna say it, the team is a little weak to fairies. I do agree. Top is not the best at a lot of things. It's fine for what it is. The team does not like fairy spam too much, but Torian,
honestly,
man,
it
can do it.
It's neutral, but Overquill can take on most fairies this gen, I've found.
Overquill isn't as bulky as I'm not a big Overquill.
I'm actually a big Overquill fan after having used it. I think it's fantastic.
I think it's better offensively than defensively. Okay.
Well, yeah, I agree with you.
But the agility set's pretty cool. Shout out to the Claw.
Yeah.
Some work with that last season.
That was funny.
But yeah, I love this team. I think it's awesome. I really do. This team is fantastic. This team's cool. This team's great. I think Torrentchi can cover whatever weakness you need, and then the other monsters just break and kill stuff.
Yeah.
Really. And I think it works perfectly. And this team has really good speed, too. Like, this team is just perfect. This team is awesome.
Yeah, my biggest negative of the team is that it has a Cryogonal, and I absolutely I have to. It's my least favorite Pokemon. I have to bring it up. I hate it, but
I still put it high.
Yeah. Regardless, I think it works really well. There's really not any major flaws to this team.
Copper is the steal.
Yeah, that's the biggest biggest
I
flaw.
knew you were gonna say that. I had to bring it up. So I knew you were gonna say that.
Well, I think while the offense synergizes pretty well with each other, I think they're all generally ice weak outside of Cinderace, and in general, the team doesn't like offense.
Yeah, this is true.
Ice moves.
There's a Cryogonal there.
I think that and like the removal being a bit iffy to me were like my two biggest knocks on the team. Otherwise, I probably would have like put it first because I really like the team as well. But I think like when you want a hazard stack with like Garchomp, Overquill, Gastro, etc., I don't think you want to be court changing at all. So I think a lot of the time, court change isn't going to do much unless you're not going to set the hazards yourself and you're going to wait for your opponent, which I don't think this team wants to do.
It also gets rid of your screens.
Yeah, so you're going to have to rely on like Bramble or Cryo to spin.
Everything can run boots, like honest. Like Torn, Cinderace, Thunderous, they don't care.
That's also fair. It's just annoying because like maybe Torn would like an item to boost its offensive moves, or like Thundy might want Scarf or like a consumable item so it can do the Terra acts.
Yeah.
Do be a cool set. Do be a very dope set. Can't agree.
Another issue is I feel like the momentum's a little bit lacking. You have Parting Shot, you have U-Turn from Corn and Thundy and Cinder. That's it. Full Switch from Thundy. Like, it's definitely sufficient. It's just, I would like to see ways to get, like, Garchomp in more.
I think it's fine, especially with, like, the things that want to switch into Grim and Cinder.
Oh yeah, I do agree.
Get Garchomp in just fine.
There's lots of ways to get stuff in and set up, regardless. Because this team loves setup.
It does, but that's fine though. It has,
Oh yeah.
It has a T-Wave, it has screens, it has hazards, it can definitely afford to set up. It doesn't...
Yeah, this team is going to be a
Vehicle is
major
gonna
threat.
climb behind screens.
Unironically, yeah, in some matchups it could.
Also, I will say, you guys have not trained your Copper with my good pal Fisty Your Doom. His Copper can U-turn. So, just saying. So,
Anyway.
just putting that out there. Trust.
So, yeah.
Oh, I guess one last thing is
Yeah.
that fighting types could be a bit annoying. If you like Terra the Twin or something that won't resist fighting. Sorry, it's not
Yeah,
that
that's-
you can't.
Yo, Bramblegas is more important here than I thought. Jesus Christ. Hold up.
Dang.
Yeah, but it's nothing the team can't handle.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, also Bramblegas does have like one of the best moves in the game in Strength Sap. It's
Yeah.
such a
Got
good
that
move.
move it.
Oh, it's such a good move. Anyway, do we have anything else to move on before we get to our number one?
No, but my AirPods made that little
Oh,
noise.
that's
it's
not good.
Probably gonna expire soon. So
Okay.
we're on number one.
Yep. Well, if you've been paying attention or just, looked at the draft, it should be pretty obvious who our overall number one is. It's TJ.
For the first time in draft league history, a Sun team is number one at TR.
Yeah, I mean, Sun is absolutely disgusting this game. You have, along with Qian Pao, one of the best mons in the game in Terra Excalibur. This thing just can win games on its own
boy.
easily.
Yeah, don't know
Hey,
anything.
yeah, I mean, it's an absolute behemoth. I think Iron Treads is overhated. It's not great, but it's a fantastic removal option, especially for a Sun team.
I love Treads. I think people are tripping.
Yeah. Slitherwing is amazing, especially, again, on a Sun team. Hatterene fits really well with all this, especially with deterring the Stealth Rocks. Terra Cerulege, or even just base Cerulege, works so well. Like, it's just, I'm just saying the same thing over and over because every piece to this team just works so well together. And it's crazy because I'm, honestly, before this gen, I hated Weather. I just thought it was just a pure gimmick that farmed bad players. This gen, Sun is...
shot at Fist.
Yes, three in a row mentioning Fist. You're welcome. But Torkoal and Sun is just so good this gen. Walking Wake added, and just Protosynthesis in general, added so much that the format needed. And especially Kilowattrel has Weather Ball for the Sun too, so even though you are getting the lowered accuracy from the Hurricanes, doesn't really matter. But yeah, setting is good, removal is good, speed, but the priority is fantastic. Yeah.
Speed's fine as Kilowattrel, Walking Wake, Treads.
Oh yeah,
They're
speed's
like
fine.
First impression. It seems speed's fine.
Yeah, priority is great. Hazard setting is totally fine. There's just really not a single flaw I can see with this team. Like, even with being just maybe a little ground weak.
No, I think it's Ghost Week too. I think it's
Ghost Week?
This team doesn't like Ghost.
Yeah, this team doesn't love Ghost.
Bullfish is a bit abusable. You can say they're a bit ground weak, but Slitherwing is probably the best ground switch in.
Easily.
One of them.
And it's not like ground type. The ground types are so easily abusable from like backs and Walking Wake. So.
Yeah.
I will say, have fun hitting Hurricanes with Kilowattrel.
Well, you can just run Air Slash.
That's fucking boring. Don't be a pussy.
Oh, what's
Also,
it?
I will say TJ has my younger sister's favorite Pokemon in Giraffe Ridge, so shouts to him. Goated Mon right there, man. What a king. Love Giraffe Ridge.
This team has 2 dragon types. I don't need to say much else because dragon is a broken offensive typing. Especially
Lucas
this
B
gen
would like
where
to disagree.
especially this gen where there are limited steals and fairies. I think Dragon Stab is gonna claim a lot of teams. Like this team is just gonna get free wins off the fact that no one's gonna switch into dragon moves all that well.
Yeah, especially-
I agree.
Especially since steel types. Why would you ever bring a steel type against this team? Legitimately.
Well, no, you need it for backs.
You need
You
it,
need it.
but you shouldn't bring it because everything just kills the steel type. Like,
It's
it's
good, man.
Yeah.
It's
It's good.
so good.
Great removal. Like, great hazard setting. Yeah, this
Flying.
is phenomenal.
Flyings can be a little annoying, but reduced hurricane accuracy and your
Yeah.
physical, your brave bird checks aren't that bad. So
Yeah.
I think it's
Bro,
fine.
Treads is a
It
good
should've been
flying resist.
Would have been like a Pidgey off gen, bro. This is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So
I think the backbone of the team crumbles a bit once like Treads goes down.
I
Like,
can
enough
agree with that.
offense And setup. There's enough offense and setup for the team to, as long as you sequence your team, you get your sequences right in the builder, and they pan out. I think this team just should win most games.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any closing statements?
Seems pretty good. No. Thanks for watching our PRs, guys. If
Yeah.
you disagree, well, that's fine. We don't expect everyone to agree. It's just our opinions, of course. What we say is not in stone. We're not like the almighty gurus, you know. It's just our opinions, of course.
3 of us are all swarm coaches. You're Poison Point.
Yeah,
Come
we're
on.
better than you. So let's do it.
Sure, we'll go with that.
I was in Poison Point at one point. This is so sad.
Go.
Well.
Wait, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know this. Don't worry, Spies. You'll be back next season. Trust.
All right. Well, I think that does it for us. Hope everyone who watches has a great day. See ya.
Peace out, guys.
Goodbye.